Why are you wearing that ridiculous hat?
Nothing ridiculous about this, Mel. I umpired today and I've already had my good, bad, and ridiculous while umpiring. The ridiculous, of course, was this boy walking up to me after the tea break and saying, "Oops, I should have done a poop when I was out there. What do I do now?" I said, "You have to get out if you want to poop."
Oh my God. That's a great way to start the show. People are going to say this is crap right from the start. Can someone please just roll the bumper? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the good, the bad, and the ridiculous on day one of the second test. What a day it was. Loads of nominations, and we have umpire Bharat Sundaresan here to make the judgments. You might need your hat back, actually, by the end of this. We'll see. He's got us standing by. Right, loads of nominations today, so many. So I'm going to try and get through them. First up, a couple together on the same topic. Shrey Joshi nominates as good. How good was Virat's imitation of WG Grace after being bowled? And A. Mahanti nominates as ridiculous KOHLI waiting for the morning newspaper to declare him out before walking off after being bowled. There were must have been 20 nominations for this, Bharat. What did you make of it?
Oh, and like we have some very classical viewers for our show, Mel. WG Grace waiting for the newspapers to roll them out. There's such classic lines, but you know what? The camera follows Virat Kohli around, as we know, when he's in India. And I remember the last time, or like last time was last week, but when India and England played in 2016 at Chennai, KL Rahul got out for 199. I still don't know how KL Rahul felt about it. We still don't. Nobody has a capture of his reaction because the camera zoomed onto Virat Kohli's face. So similarly, we don't know how Moeen Ali really celebrated the wicket after those first couple of moments when you see him do that, because it was all about Kohli. And yeah, there was a WG Grace about him. Hey, they came to watch me bat. First time Test cricket in India during the COVID era with people in the crowds. They came to watch Virat Kohli and they got to watch him for 5 balls. So he could have just put that bail back and maybe, continued. But see, there was that occasion in the last test, right? When Ishant Sharma, the bail just fell off. Everybody just assumed Ishant Sharma, number 11, must have stepped on his stump, but he did not. So maybe Kohli was taking a cue from Ishant there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there was a reason that the cameras were on him, though. The reaction was absolutely incredible. And the thing about WG Grace that I really loved is that it was trending as high as number 4 on Twitter in the UK, WG Grace. So maybe Kohli was actually just trying to educate a new generation of cricket fans watching for the first time in England on free-to-air, perhaps, about the great history of this crazy game. And can you imagine WG Grace in the era of DRS? Can we just think about that for the moment? That would have been an absolute shocker. I just would have refused to be now. I don't know. He would have called it fake news when they're playing the replays. But it was absolutely hilarious as a reaction. You've got to give a bit of credit to Moeen Ali. It wasn't a great shot by Kohli, playing that cover drive, reaching out so far, but it was a great ball by Moeen Ali. The way it bit and spat back in, and he's Moeen's best balls are really good, and that's a great way for him to get back, a great return to the test side after being out for so long. But the reaction, that's going to be memes forever. This can't possibly
he wasn't even supposed to play Test cricket after it back in 2009. It was very similar to the ball Michael Vaughan bowled to Sachin Tendulkar many years ago in England, though. Yeah, but
it was also a worthy reaction of Gatting after the Vaughan ball. It was that similar. That was more, I can't believe that happened. This was like, I can't believe that happened to me. Yeah. Look, so next up, we have Abhijato Sensama nominates ridiculous Rohit Sharma batting like a separate pitch was laid out for him. We sort of said, we did kind of say that about Joe Root earlier on, but that wasn't so much a separate pitch. That was just like Joe Root was playing the balls better than anyone else sort of was in that test match. So it seemed like he was playing a different game. But for Rohit to be able to score that quickly on that pitch, and he must have known as well. He must have judged that pitch pretty quickly and thought, you know what, runs in this first session could be really, really valuable in this game, and that could be a match-defining knock already that we saw, especially in that first session.
It could be a career-defining knock as well. See, we've spoken so much about Rohit Sharma and Test cricket, that bizarre relationship that they have with each other. And, even after Australia, people started saying, is he actually worthy of just getting this go without in ahead of Mayank Agarwal? And then he didn't score too many runs in the first test. And there was some pressure on him to make a big score. And this is a massive score on a very tricky pitch. And that's the beauty of Rohit Sharma, right? He can make a perfectly placid flat pitch look like a demonic pitch by the way he gets out. But at the same time, by the way he bats, like he did today, he can make what we assume is a rank turner, a pitch that might lead to an early finish or test match finishing early, look like a dream, at least when he was on strike.
Why pitchers rank turners and never rank seamers? Just think about that. Let's think about that. Ezra Sastry nominates as it's Ashwin. I actually got that wrong. Ashwin nominates Rohit Sharma batting for 6 hours and not breaking a drop of sweat in the ridiculously hot Chennai weather. I actually have a theory that Rohit Sharma has had his sweat glands surgically removed. You heard it here first. I absolutely swear that's what's happened. It's not natural, Bharat. It's just not natural. Even if you are from the area, it cannot be natural to not sweat like that.
Or maybe he's so cool that even when he does sweat, it just gets absorbed somewhere and it doesn't show. And that's the beauty of Rohit Sharma. He is one of the most relaxed characters in world cricket, in Indian cricket for sure. And we've seen that over the years. Initially, Mel, when he just burst onto the scene, it was always taken for arrogance. But over the years, people have realized that's just him. Like nothing really phases him. Not the pitch, not the humidity, not the heat of Chennai. And yeah, I mean, it was good to see his wife look as cool as he did throughout the day. Like every time she stood up, it didn't look like an air-conditioned box where they were seated, but that she looked very relaxed in the humidity and heat. Yeah, because she had to keep jumping up from her seat and clapping while her husband was hitting the England bowlers all around the clock.
But you can say all of that. You can say all of that, and you can say he's relaxed and calm and everything, or he's had his sweat glands surgically removed.
Where do the sweat glands actually exist, Mel? Where do you remove them from? I would like to know.
There's plenty of them. Now, Ezra Sastry nominates ridiculously good, looks funnily weird, but very good wicket-keeping skills from Ben Foakes. You said he reminded you of someone else.
Oh, very much so. He reminded me a lot of James Foster, just the way he is. And I compared Dom Best to Richard Dawson in the last test. And Richard Dawson and James Foster, alongside James Ormond, were the three guys that Indians had never really heard of before they came here, went to India in 2001. And, similarly, like tall wicket keepers, very awkward to see tall wicket keepers come from England. And so they look awkward anyway, right, when they're going down. It's a very strange technique, but it's a beautiful technique because his hands come up at the right moment, and he's in such a balanced position when at the point of delivery and at the point of when he's receiving the ball. So I think he's good. And James Foster was rated for the longest time as one of the best wicket keepers in England, right, alongside Chris Reed and maybe even Ben Scott from Middlesex, if I'm not mistaken. So it has a lot to like about Ben Foakes. Yes, England have gone around the world saying this is the best wicketkeeper in the world. It doesn't look like it it doesn't make a great first impression, but when you see him do what he does, and not a single bye conceded on a pitch like that, keeping in a test match in India on a spinning pitch, beautifully done. And it's interesting. It grows on you. Like we've spoken about batting techniques, Fawad Alam and all these guys, who Steve Smith even, they kind of are an acquired taste, and so is Ben Foakes wicket keeping.
I think he was very, very unlucky not to be given a stumping as well today. I actually thought that was out. You have your umpire hat there today. I know that you were giving that the OUT. Yes. So I think he was pretty unlucky with that today. Not so sure how well he fared on the old taking good care of his equipment. We saw him trashing his pads.
He
What
did.
was that about? Making such an effort. He's by that stage, his whites. He had black knees basically as well at that point. So he loses marks for that. But this is a great opportunity for him, and he did, like you said, that no buys. That's pretty tidy keeping. He's going to have his work cut out for him as far as keeping that record up for the rest of this test, I think. But for England, having the ability to have him come into this side during this series on pitches like this, that's a huge bonus for them. I'm going to be really interested to see how he bats. That could be an interesting one.
Baptism by spin.
Yes. Now I have two here. The first one from Nandan nominates as super bad, ultra bad, mega bad, all-time best bad, umpire Anil Chowdhury's howler of the century. And Akshit Asrani nominates as good, Rahane getting out next over after a ridiculous umpiring blunder. He truly exhibits the spirit of the game. Not quite sure that that's what he was actually doing, but yeah, that was at the howler of all howlers, wasn't it, really? And they ended up getting back the review, England. So that was good that happened, but bad that it happened in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, that's the last thing you want from DRS, right? Like, as a system where the system kind of admits its mistake, or whoever is in charge, and it gives a review back to the team. It doesn't happen very often, but you could see that Anil Chaudhary also is an honest man. He owns up to his mistakes, but it's a mistake that should have been avoided, could have been avoided. It was just a question of just that extra replay from behind, because it seemed so obvious where it caught the glove, and even the stumping. There wasn't, it was pretty clear that there wasn't enough behind the crease. So I don't know how Rohit Sharma got away with it. And, but it also tells you that DRS is, yes, the use of technology for umpiring. But the thing is, it's still manned by a person. So there is still a margin for error, because it is still done, the final call is taken by a person. So that's why it'll never be foolproof, like MS Dhoni used to famously say. It's someone told you were in a bulletproof vehicle, which is only 99% safe. You wouldn't get into it, right? And that's exactly the reason why India didn't opt for DRS for many years. After today, might be England who might opt for DRS.
Maybe one was perhaps, if you agree with us that the stumping was out, that's an error. If you agree that it was out, if you think it was out, that you'd say is an error of judgment. The other one was an error of process. So sometimes that also depends on the relationship, the communication levels between the umpire and the broadcasters as well. So that whether they're offering that other replay or if he should be asking for it. That's something that they have to work out. Look, we've been bigging up the umpires, so they've had a bad day today. I think that's pretty obvious. Now, Praful Jar nominates ridiculous, the success rate of Rishabh Pant connecting with the ball, irrespective of the kind of pitch. We were talking about this in our wonderful watch party with Snehal that we joined today, which was fantastic fun. How the hell it was middling balls that were sometimes really spitting out and turning a lot, and at other times not so much, and at other times, I mean, obviously he watches the ball really closely, but that's just the way he middles those balls. He just reads them so well. It's crazy.
It is. I mean, he is a special talent. He's got a great eye, and also the conviction, like we spoke about it on Snail Show as well, where it's all about when he commits fully. I mean, to whatever he does in life. You can see it even in his videos where he's doing all those gymnastics. Of course, that comes from experience. He commits completely to whatever he's doing. And that's the beauty of Rishabh Pant, not just as a batsman, as a cricketer, as a person. And you can see it every time he jumps out of his crease to Jack Leach. He kind of takes the pitch out of his mind, because A, he tries to get to the pitch of the ball, and B, he never really doubts himself. Like, there are no second guesses. He just goes through with the shot. That's why he can get out, like we saw in the World Cup semi-final 2 years ago famously. But if he connects, the ball will go a long way. So more often than not, he seems to be connecting in the last 2 or 3 months. And if it's going well for him, why should he stop doing so? And that's is like I said, even the reverse sweep that you going all gaga. He picked it so early, and that
Yeah.
the conviction comes from that. But once he picks the length, he just backs himself to connect, and he is not failing to connect these days. So go Rishabh Pant. He's still out there, so maybe we'll see something special again tomorrow.
We shall see. Now, Nitin Teganamani, I don't know if I've said that well. Nitin Teganamani nominates as bad. Pant and Nitin Menon exchange of words. That was bad and frankly bizarre, wasn't it? I mean, so what we gather had happened was there was 40 seconds left. They decided to take the extra over. Rishabh seemed unhappy about that. Ben Stokes was laughing. Everyone was getting more and more annoyed. It was a very unusual scene to see a batter and an umpire sort of having serious words with one another.
Yeah, it was straight out of junior cricket. And like Nitin just said, Nitin, the guy who posted the question, not Nitin Menon. We haven't spoken to him yet.
Too many Nitins.
Too many Nitins, yeah. It was strange. Yeah, you don't see that happen very often where a batsman and umpire are so upset, so grumpy with each other. Maybe like Snehal said on her show, the Indian umpires are also trying to, I guess it's all home umpires at this point, almost trying to show that they are stricter with the home teams just so that nobody looks at them and says, oh, you're being too biased. And it looked like he was picking at Rishabh Pant for not wasting time, but for delaying by having a chat with Ben Foakes. Maybe Rishabh Pant was asking him about his strange technique because Rishabh Pant has his own wicket-keeping technique. It was a little strange and a little ridiculous, I guess, but all's well that ends well. Like Rishabh Pant wasn't given out by Nitin Menon in the last over. That I don't know if Nitin Menon would have done that with a smile on his face.
Yeah, that would have been very, very interesting. A very odd moment. And finally, Ezra Sastry. Oh, I think that's two. That's the second one they've had. Ridiculous. Ben Foakes shouting 250 for 6 lads, and it ends with 6 down. I'm bringing that in because I was bringing that up as we were watching it, and I was like, hang on. They're 248 for 4 here, and they were shouting out that they were going to be 6 for by the time they got there. And in the end, they did get there not that far beyond it, really. So it was a pretty good shout. But I reckon all in all, you'd have to say India would be fairly happy with that day today on a pitch like that.
India would have been happy with 250 for 6 on a pitch like that, or
Yeah.
the way it has played so far. But 300 for 6, they'll be smiling. And Akshar Patel still out there, Rishabh Pant still out there, Kuldeep Yadav can hang around, Ishant Sharma can hang around, even if not score too many runs. So there's plenty of batting there. They can easily stretch it to 400. 400 on a pitch like that with Ashwin, Akshar Patel, and Kuldeep Yadav. I personally am looking at an early finish, and it looks like India are well on top.
Well, yeah, they haven't got to 400 yet. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the morning. Now, put your umpire's hat on and tell me, what was your goodest thing for the day? Umpire Bharat Sundaresan.
Well, do I have to sound different? But no, it has to be Rohit Sharma's batting. That relationship, like I said, Test cricket and him, they have ups and downs, but today was just this dreamy date on a desert. They had nothing going for them, but they seem to have a beautiful, perfect date with a happy ending.
Just in time for Valentine's Day, which I prefer to call Singles Awareness Day. Your winner for the baddest thing of the day.
I think not having Shamsuddin as third umpire, right? We've fallen in love with Shamsuddin, the third umpire, because he's so confident with his decisions and just the way he goes to the umpire on field and says, give him out, give him not out. I think Anil Chaudhary had a forgettable outing as third umpire. He was beautiful. He was brilliant on Test debut out in the middle, but maybe he was just messing around with the controls. He didn't have a great day at all, and that has to be the baddest thing for the day.
And the ridiculous thing for the day.
I really never thought that you'd see an Indian batsman walk up to an English player in a test match in India and complain about an Indian umpire. That's what happened in the end. Rishabh Pant walked up to Joe Root and Ben Stokes, and they're having this thing. And Rishabh Pant is pointing like a child towards Nitin Menon, saying he's saying stuff about me. And it was that funny. But we both know why Nitin Menon was upset. it's because they started zooming onto his pocket, and like,
Yes.
just because the second new ball was there, and that really pissed him off clearly,
No
and was
No
the most
need.
ridiculous thing of the day.
Yeah, I think I'm still there with Virat Kohli, like not being able to believe it. But I'll let you have it. Thank you so much for joining us. All of you, if you can please like this video, please do subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back for lots more throughout this test. Show us the love, as Bharat said. And we will see you tomorrow.